Hello, everyone. This is your backyard gardener. Thank you so much for coming in. Just give me 1 second to set. Um, and we're gonna get going real quickly. Get my chat up. Sure, Bus Pull Up. How you doing? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. I've been in a couple of your lives, just lurking in the bushes, giving you that time. I'm doing pretty good today. I gotta. Are you on IG? Cause I need to get with you, Short Bus. I'm trying to get my chat pulled up so that I can see you guys. For some reason, my screen is small. All right. Melanie, hello. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Guys, trying to get my chat together. You know how it is when you go live, it's always a process. You can't even get it together beforehand. You just have to basically do it during the live. But I do appreciate you all coming in. How the garden? Hello. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I like what you're doing, How the Garden.
Are you tired?
It's very informative information that you're giving out. And I do appreciate that because there's a lot of people that's starting to garden now, and they need that information. Candy Hair Care and More, hello. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Good afternoon to you. I hope all is well. Again, congratulations on your monetization. And I definitely appreciate what you do and the information that you give out on your channel as well. We're going to get going in 1 second. My chat was small. I finally got it back big. I don't know how that happens. My site is not that good. Let's see who we have. Miss Farola, hello. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you as well. All righty. So we're going to get going. I'd like to thank everybody that's coming in. Today we're going to have a quick conversation. I don't like how my light is set up, but we're going to have a quick conversation on a few garden no-nos because of what's going on. And everybody have to kind of stay at home a little bit, and things are slowly opening back up. People have decided to grow their own food, which I think is wonderful. And so there's a lot more newbie gardeners out there that's starting to garden, and they kind of need just a little bit of direction. And like I said, if you are a newbie gardener, April, hello, welcome. Thank you for coming in. If you are a newbie gardener, definitely try to find you a person who is in your zone, your growing zone. That's important too, if you're going to try and follow somebody. I'm in zone 6B. I'm in Michigan. So you want to try to find people that's, if not 6B, 6. Sometimes we can be a 5. Sometimes we can be a 6. But try to find someone that's close to your area to kind of know when to start and when your season is pretty much over and when to start your fall garden. So, you know, I'm always advocating growing your own food. Um, and today is no different. You still got time to grow. We talked about in our last live streams the things that you can plant in July. So if you haven't already started your garden or picked up some seeds from one of your local big box stores, you still got time to do it. Let me say a couple of hellos. Gardener Eden, thank you for coming. Hello, how are you? I hope all is well. Nature 9 and family, I have not seen you in a while. It is so good to see you. Thank you for coming in. I hope all is well with you. I appreciate you being here. So yes, you have to quit being so mental. Elaine, hello, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Just planted okra, bush beans, and I can't read the other one, but yes, my glass, it's so hard to see and it's going on by. But that's great, Elaine. I'm glad that you have stepped out and got that going. You still have time, depending on where you at. You still have time. There's a lot of things that you can plant in July. And my last live, we did 5 through 10, zone 5 through 10, and it's important that you know your growing zone. We talked about that too, so that you can know how long your season is and what you can do. Let's see what we're saying. Yes, BG, I love the bees. Oh, you talking about my bees or Nature 9, or do you have some as well? Because my chat moving so fast. Yeah, my bees are doing pretty good back there. So far, so good. Raising bees has been an experience like becoming a beginning gardener. You worry, you okay. You worry and you kind of be like, okay, is the bees okay? Every day, I swear, I check on those bees to make sure that they're okay. I don't go in the box a lot. I go in the box maybe like once a week because I want them to be used to me coming in and out. But yeah, I've had them for over a month now, so I'll deem myself as a beekeeper because I at least kept them for a month. Now, if they take flight, I'll still take my beekeeper title, but yeah, it can be kind of a worrying situation with those bees because we're in swarm season and you just don't know what's gonna happen. And I have not located the queen, but I know she's in there, and they're telling me that it's not overly important for me to see the queen, long as I can see the cells and stuff in the brood that she's producing and mating. So that I do see, and I'm like, I'm fine with that. But that trying to find that queen, sometimes trying to find a needle in a haystack. So yeah, but it's been quite a journey, Nature 9, and I've really I've enjoyed it. And it's like, it's a lot of information about it, but if you don't know a lot of the terminology, and this is just from my experience, if you don't know a lot of the words and terminology, when you watch a video and people talking about, oh yeah, you know, you have to check for the brood and this, that, and the other, it's like, what's that? Check for the what? It's like they're speaking in another language. So that was a situation where I've done a lot of research, I've taken classes, and I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to step out on faith and do it. Wasn't even considering about how you can get all stung, stung up. But yeah, that it's been a journey, and I've enjoyed it. I'm still enjoying it. Okay, let's get right into the no-nos in the garden. We're going to try to do 30 minutes and get out of here because I do have people who come back and watch the content, and I appreciate you. So if you are in here, give this video a thumbs up. And if you are watching now, please thumbs up the live. Miss AK910, thank you for being here. I'm glad you caught me this week. I appreciate you. Stephanie in the garden, hello, how are you? Thank you for being here. I appreciate you as well. Some of the no-nos. And for the beginning gardener, I want to say this before I start. Don't stress out about it. In the thumbnail, I believe it says learn and move on. Meaning that don't overthink it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Learn from what you did and move on. If you're going to plant, drop seeds, drop a few extra ones. Sometimes your seeds will not germinate. It's no control that we have. It's no control that you're going to have. It's just certain seeds in that pack is not viable. So don't beat yourself up about it. Don't let it be like, oh no, this is just not for me. Nope, we just have to learn a little bit more about gardening. That's all. And continue to try to keep moving forward and don't get discouraged. So one of the things that I'm finding, or when I was a beginning gardener, I overwatered my plants a lot. And with overwatering your plants, that can cause root rot and you can suffocate the roots. Your plants do not have to be, your soil to your plants do not have to be soppy wet. It doesn't have to be like that. You want your soil to be moist, not where you just constantly all the time wet. And make sure, if you are a container gardener, make sure that you are definitely have enough drain holes. Some people will be like, well, I'm just going to put one little drain hole so that I don't have to come out here and water it all the time. No, you need to put multiple drain holes so that your plant can drain properly. It's still, your soil is still going to be moist. If you're trying to retain moisture in your pots, or even in your raised bed, or even in your in-ground garden, mulch. Use mulch, whatever mulch you see fit for you. Wood chips, and put it around that plant. That will help retain the moisture that it needs. But do not just keep watering that plant constantly. You're going to kill it. That's going to be a sign that you're killing the plant, because it needs to dry out. Some plants need to really kind of dry for just a little while and then, retain its moisture again. So that's important. Overwatering is a number one killer to why our plants don't succeed. It's because we water them too much. And on the flip side, Talita 360 Cafe, hello. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. On the flip side, underwatering is one of the major problems that we have. We spoke about it in the beginning of the fall and the spring about your water source, making sure that your water source is close to your garden, because tote nose buckets and filling up those pretty little watering cans is going to get real old real quick when the heat is beaming down on your head. So even when we don't feel like going out there to water that garden, you're taking a chance, especially if it's been 98 degrees all day and the last time you watered your garden was the evening before. You're going to have a problem skipping that day. So it's not even worth taking a chance. So when you're sitting there, you think about, is it worth taking a chance? I've worked so hard. Let me get up and put some water out there on the garden. So make sure that you keep it watered. Don't underwater it and don't overwater. It's a balance there, and you will find your balance just by keeping the soil moist, not soppy wet. Okay? Another thing that we have is over fertilizing. Now, with over fertilizing, that can become a major problem too. A lot of us do not like to read instructions. And no shade to the men, but brothers, y'all do not like reading instructions. Oh, I can put this together. There'll be so many different parts left over. Like, okay. Read the instructions on the back of your packages about how much to fertilize your plant. And pay close attention to that. They're back there for a reason. When you fertilize your plants, you're going to kill your plants out. You're going to burn them out. Or you're going to lock up the nutrients. Or it's going to get too much of one and not enough of another. So you really got to be careful with over fertilizing your plant, applying more than what you need. Remember, more is not always better. It's not. Well, if I put extra on here, then it'll grow better. No, it won't. It will not grow better. Just put what's recommended on the back of that fertilizer bag. Okay? Planting in shady areas. If you have a vegetable or a fruit tree that requires full sun, and on that tag it tells you, even with the little tags that come inside the starter pots, it'll tell you if that plant requires full sun. On the back of your seed pack, it will tell you if that plant requires full sun. So if it's telling you it needs full sun, then that's where you need to put it in there. If it tells you it needs filtered sun or sun, then that's what it needs. So basically we're going back to follow the seed pack. Follow the instructions on the tag inside of your starter pot for your starts when you get them from wherever you get them from. So pay close attention to that, because planting in a shady area and it's a situation where it needs full sun, you're not gonna have a great production. It's gonna really affect that plant because it's not getting enough sun. Same thing with your fruit trees. Certain fruit trees, they have to be in full sun. If they're not, it's going to affect the plant. Okay? So remember that. Planting in shady areas. Another one is not amending the soil. If you grew a garden last year, excuse me, and this year you want to plant in that same spot, planting that same spot, and you're not amending your soil with some type of compost or organic matter, that's not a good thing. At the end of the season, when your bed is sitting there or your containers are sitting there, it's going through all the rainy months, it's going through all the snowy months if you're in the north. Antoinette, hello, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you being here. Take some leaves. When you're raking up those leaves, take some and pile them over in your bed. Cover your whole bed with them. Let it break down over the winter and over the spring, and through the fall. Put those leaves in your bed. That's helping amend the soil. Another thing that helps amend the soil is compost. When you top dress your beds or your containers with some compost, that's helping amend the soil as well. And the putting in those leaves will break down like a compost as well. So as we gear toward the fall, we're going to talk a lot about leaf mulch, and we're going to talk a lot about compost and how we can prepare ourselves for an awesome 2021 growing season. So again, not amending your soil is not a good thing, because your soil does not have the nutrients that it needs to feed that plant, for that plant to thrive and that plant to grow. So remember that as well. Planting seeds too deep or too shallow. Planting your seeds too deep or planting your seeds too shallow is another problem that we have as newbie gardeners. Even with, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my chat right. Even with intermediate gardeners, sometimes we're going through there so quick and we're dropping those seeds and they're either too shallow or they're down too deep. Again, read the back of your seed pack. If in doubt, it's on the back of your seed pack. If you don't know what to do, it's on the back of your seed pack. Same thing with your starts. If you're planting your starts, you got that much root base on your starts. When you plant that start in the dirt, you want it to be right at that root line. Now, if it's a tomato plant and it's kind of tall and you want to get it down a little more to get some more root production, those are forgiving plants. You can do that. But other plants, you can't do it like that because they're not growing the roots off the stem like a tomato plant will. So planting your seeds too deep or too shallow can be a problem for you, and you won't have, your seeds is not going to grow. They're not going to do well at all, okay? Let's see, what else we have? Planting too closely. Now, a lot of people on YouTube like to do the square foot gardening thing, and it's worked well for a lot of people. But you have to understand about the square foot gardening is it depends on what you're growing as well. A square foot is really a nice amount of space to grow because when you read the back of the seed plants, they pretty much saying 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches apart. A square foot is 12, so you're doing more than enough with doing a square foot. But if you're planting your seedlings one after another, that's fine too. But remember, once you start getting your leaves to come up or your seedling to germinate, you're gonna have to start thinning that out. Because if you growing a Georgia collet, let's say let's not even say a Georgia collet, a cabbage. That cabbage head, you can't have another one right on top of it. It's going to compete. Those leaves on those cabbage, and I've seen some of you guys cabbage, and it's amazing, the leaf growth on them. It's going to compete, and you're going to start having dead leaves on the bottom because they're not getting any sun. Separate those cabbage heads. Just think of it when your plant is full grown, how it's going to look in your garden. So you have to keep that in mind too. Don't plant your stuff too closely. Barefoot Gardener, hello, how are you? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you and welcome. The next thing that we kind of fall off a little bit as newbie gardeners is, like I said, remember, once your seeds get growing, we forget to go back and thin them. Or we say, well, it just looks so good and green. Everything germinated. I'm going to keep it there. Don't do it because, remember, they're going to compete for sunlight. And if they're crowded out like that, they're not going to be able to grow. Okay? Another thing, one of the major things that I see is starting out too big. You'll watch a channel and they might have they done digged out a big 12 foot by 20 foot square in their yard and say, this is where I'm going to garden. You have to remember this. You have to be dedicated to that area. If you're a newbie gardener and you don't really know what to expect in a growing season, you got to pay attention to each plant. Each plant has different needs. My squash, I never grew squash before because I didn't want to deal with the squash beetles. So I never grew it. This year I'm growing squash, but I'm only growing 1 container of squash because I don't really have that, not patience, but the time to keep making sure I'm over there picking off these squash beetles, or making sure I don't have an infestation of squash beetles that can cause another area of my garden to get affected by it. So if you look in my yard when I do my next video, you're going to notice that squash plant is nowhere really near my vegetable garden area. I done brought it back a little bit, like the beetles gonna have to find their way over there, and by the time they do, I'm paying attention to it. So starting too big can become overwhelming for you as well. Starting too big in a garden, it's like it's more for you to do. It's more for you to remember, and then you set yourself up when things start to fail on one end. You're like, forget about the other end because you didn't got discouraged. Start small. Start easy. Start with easy things to grow. We talked about how beans are easy to grow, how radish is easy to grow. Tomatoes are not that complicated to grow either. What's some other things that's easy to grow? Eggplant is actually easy to grow, and cucumbers. So you have to make sure that you start off with what you can handle. I know through the summer, through the fall, and the spring, these seed companies will start to send us all of these books. They'll send us the seed catalogs, and we look through these catalogs and we say, oh man, I want to grow that. I want to grow that. I'm guilty of it myself. I got more seeds than ever. A lot of seeds were sent to me, and I have some that's going in for my fall garden as well. But you got to be able to handle that. You got to be able to pay attention to each of those plants that's going to cause you a possible problem down the line in your garden, and you don't want to overwhelm yourself. Not even paying attention to that big 12 by 20 foot garden, but watering it as well. You got to get out there and you got to water all of that. That can become overwhelming because sometimes, guys, it literally takes me a good oh my goodness, it literally takes me a good 30 minutes to water my garden. Because in the watering process, I'm inspecting. And yep, you can have your drip irrigation set up, but for beginning gardeners, most of them won't have a drip irrigation set up because they're just starting to get into gardeners. I'm not a beginning gardener, but I took my drip irrigation out because I was rearranging my garden and I never put it back in. But it will be going back in once. The only thing about my drip irrigation is that I changed my garden up so much to put a drip irrigation. I'll be setting plugs in there and moving lines everywhere else. So that's the only thing that I don't really do my drip irrigation at this point. Once I figure out how I'm really going to have my garden set up and this is going to be it and everything, then I can put my drip irrigation back in. But every year it seems like I'm changing something different. Diva Jones, hello. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Welcome to the live. So with that being said, remember that everything consists of remembering what to do, remembering how to do it, how much you need to do, how little you need to do. Other than that, once you learn the base of it, or if that plan has failed, let it fail and move on. Don't be hard on yourself and like, I just don't know what happened. Try to figure out what happened so that you'll be better at it the next time. But just move on from that. Don't dwell on it. Keep it moving and figure out what's going on in the next in your next area of your garden. So, recap. Overwatering your garden is a major problem. Over-fertilizing your garden is a major problem. Planting in shady areas is a major problem. Not amending your soil is a major problem. Planting your seeds too shallow or too deep is a major problem. Planting too closely can become a major problem. And what was that last one? Starting too big can become a major problem. Start off small. I know we want to grow everything, but like the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. And you're just starting out, so this will be a great opportunity to add on. If you want that garden to grow more and more every year, I encourage you to do some perennials. Grow some stuff that's going to come back every year. And we do have some vegetables that and fruits that will return every year in your garden. And that way, those are there and they're set up and permanent, and you can add something else to it. So mix it up. Don't just do your little annuals. Do you some perennials in your garden as well if you want to go into a little wider spectrum or grow a little more. But don't get so caught up in the seed catalogs. Don't get so caught up in looking at other people's gardens to determine how much you want to grow or how big you want your garden to be. I get a lot of I'm in a garden group on Facebook, and one of the main things that people ask is that, why is my plant looking like this? And a lot of times their plant is looking like that because their plant haven't been watered, or it doesn't get the proper nutrients. So you got to kind of know what you're doing a little. You got to do some research, and everything you do, you should research it. You can't just stick it into dirt and then say, okay, this is going to grow. I don't have to water it. I'll wait for the rain to come and water it. That's not how gardening is. You have to tend to it. That's why you're going to be called a gardener, because you're tending to your garden. So, do anybody have any questions? Pretty much everybody in here right now is I don't see any beginning gardeners in here that I know of, but pretty much everybody in here right now is kind of probably experienced some of the things that I'm talking about. But a lot of people that are beginning gardeners enjoy gardening. It's supposed to be a stress reliever. It's not supposed to uh, make you discouraged, make you angry, or make your stress level go up. It's supposed to do actually the opposite, which is bring your stress level down and to encourage you to have some type of sense of, wow, I did this. I'm actually eating squash that I grew. And of course, the first thing you're going to say, this is the best squash I ever tasted. And it should be, because that's the squash that you grew in your own backyard or in your own yard. So, any questions? Let me see who came in. Indoor Outdoor Gardener, hello. Thank you for coming in. Antoinette, if I have not spoken to you, hello. How are you? I appreciate you coming in. Tylita 360, I definitely appreciate you coming in. Let's see who else we have. Miss MK910, thank you. I appreciate you. Custom Container Gardenings, hello. It's been a minute. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad to see you now. I hope all is well with you. I appreciate you coming in. Melanie and Miss Farola, my wonderful moms, I appreciate your support, everything that you're doing for the channel. I appreciate that. Stephanie, Nature 9 and family is in the house again. Stephanie in the garden. I appreciate you. How to garden. Guys, today I'm going to shout out 2 channels. I know we said 3, but I'm going to do 2. One of them is How to Garden. He goes live and is very knowledgeable on what he's talking about. And he's basically, when he go live, he has a topic. He's talking about gardening. And he has some interesting things to say and experiences that he shares about his garden. So you definitely want to check out if you can, go over to How to Garden, and what he's doing in his garden and on his live streams. Very informative, and he has some really awesome people over there with him as well. Elaine, I think I said hello. How are you? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. So this week's shout out will be How to Garden. April, I believe I spoke to you. Thank you for coming in. I want to make sure that I speak to everybody. Garden of Eden. Thank you. I appreciate you. Now, I'm going to give you one that's not a gardener, but has very informative information. It's about gardening, but my channel is about gardening, but it's also about people who have very good channels that you might be interested in. This week I'm going to Gigi. Hello, how are you? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. This week I'm going to also shout out Pandy's Hair Care and More. She has some very good topics that she talks about in her live stream, and also she has very good information on her hair products and hair. And after today, I'm coming out of the quarantine scarf because tomorrow I have my appointment set up. It's been a rough 3 months, guys. I don't do hair. I have long, thick hair. And I don't know. I can't do nothing with it. For all my life, I've always had somebody to do my own hair. So tomorrow it's definitely going down because I'm about ready to cut it off, which I did that before and went into a real short pixie cut, and that's high maintenance more than having long hair. So check out Pandy Hair Care and More, and check out How to Garden. Those are two awesome channels, and I appreciate both of them being here in the live. But guys, information is golden, and you have to not take it and run with it. What people say, you have to take it and research it. You know, a lot of times we'll say, well, do this, that, and the other. But I'm in zone 6B and you in zone 9. That's not going to work for you. So you got to kind of use common sense with it as well. Next week, I will be shouting out 2 more channels. And I don't get my channels from who comes in the live this week. I get the channels who was in the live last week. So I have 2 more channels that I'm already have wrote down for next week. And I appreciate all of you guys. For all those that are getting monetized or close to monetization, congratulations. It is a journey in itself. Some of us can't get it as quick as others, but the dedication and the determination that you guys put into it is awesome. Gigi, congratulations on your monetization. You worked hard. Never sat down. On all her lives, she stood up in that kitchen and she cooked. She gave content. Never had a filter on. I never seen it. Through all her life, she sat there for 1 hour and talked 6 days a week and cooked 6 days a week. And that right there, that's work. Angela, Busy Bee Garden and Homestead, thank you so much for coming in. I think I just seen you, saw your icon popped up. Thank you. I appreciate you. Barefruit, I appreciate you coming in. Diva Jones, I appreciate you. Everybody have an awesome week. And please be careful. Be safe. Still got time to grow. Don't forget. Short Boys Pull Up. Contact me on Instagram if you can, because I do need to talk to you and I lost your number. So to everybody, have a wonderful week. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next video. Happy gardening, everybody.